Good evening, Alonso. How are you? Can you hear me well? And can you see me well as well? Hi, Lucas. Hi, Renata. How are you guys? Right. So, as I said last week in our group, all right, and today, um, oh, you have no focus, Alonso. I don't know. I'm trying to transmit in HD, at least 720 pixels. Maybe it's still adapting, but you guys, if you, YouTube is telling me that the connection is excellent. So if you continue with problems about focus or sound or buffering, when it's loading, just let me know so I can make some adjustments here. Hello, Mauricio. Hi, Mayara. Well, but as I was saying, today we're gonna have a very short moment here. Basically, it was just to cover an overall view on what we have studied, especially from units 1 through 4. I have decided for these units 1 through 4 because I noticed that they were simpler, okay, like less things to study than the recent ones when we discussed about relative pronouns, the commas, the punctuation. So thinking about the easiness of the situation, I have decided for units 1 through 4, okay? Uh, as you can see in the screen, this is our file, and I have put the pictures that I'm gonna show here tonight. I put here, basically, the most important things that we should remember are the tenses, because the unit 1 covered a general overview of the tenses. The quantifiers, this one was more for unit 3, the quantifiers. And the models of deduction, which was in the unit 4, okay, when we started deducing things. Oh, it must be this, it can't be that, so these kind of things. The unit 2 was about the future, and the future will be covered in the tenses as well, okay? Right. Okay. If it continues along, so if the problem continues, just let me know, or okay. But basically, all the pictures I'm gonna use, you can find, and if you wish, you can use during the test, all right? It's not, you're not gonna have any answers there, but if you know how to use the pictures, maybe you can extract some answers. Well, so let's take a look at the tenses. The first thing, oh, by the way, like I said before, to bring your doubts to our conversation tonight. So if you have any questions that you have seen, oh, from Unit 2, I can remember that. From Unit 4, I don't remember these details. Just type, okay, in the chat, and then I will answer as the class goes. Hi, Luciano. How are you? Okay, so let's move on. The first part, I guess I'm going to start with the quantifiers because I believe they are the easier ones here. The quantifiers are basically words that, like the name suggests, you can quantify some things. So basically here on this picture, we're going to focus on the much, many, few, and little. Okay. Uh, it's not a big deal. It's nothing different from things you already do with those words. Just remember some details like when it's countable or uncountable. So you can see here in the picture that we use a lot of or lots of for both countable and uncountable, okay? And then you can see it's affirmative, occasionally negative and interrogative, okay? So the highest frequency of lot of and lots of is going to happen in affirmative sentences. Okay, so for example, there are lots of books on my desk, or there is a lot of books on my desk. The same thing. Okay, a lot of, a lots of, there's no difference between them. Many and much. Now things start getting a little separated because many we must use for countable things only and much for uncountable things only. And then you can see that the predominance of usage for much and many are going to happen negative and interrogative sentences, okay, for many and much. And then you can see, oh, occasionally in affirmative sentences. Much the same thing, occasionally in affirmative sentence. Okay, so like I commented when we were studying the unit 3, this is not like a fixed rule that you can't break. Actually, this is more like the frequency of usage that native speakers make of those words. Okay, so for example, if you think of the sentence, thank you very much, thank you very much, it's an affirmative sentence and they use much. They don't say, oh, of course, you can say thank you a lot, thanks a lot. Okay, it's the same thing, but thank you very much is also very popular, very common, and correct. Okay, so there's no big deal about that. So, a lot of, lots of, countable and uncountable. It means a large quantity, and many, much. Many for countable, much for uncountable. It means a large quantity as well. The opposite for many is few. Okay, so few. So few means a small quantity for countable things. Okay, so you must remember this. So few is the opposite for many, and it only for countable things. Okay. For example, few people know the truth about his difficulties. Okay, so few people know the truth about his difficulties. Just a small number of people in this case, in this example. Hello, Mateus. Hi, Diandra. And the difference. Remember that when we saw in our material, there's a small meaning difference from a few and few. Remember that few is like not enough, okay? It's a small quantity and it's not enough for the context. And when you say a few, it's okay. It's not a large quantity, but it's an okay number, okay? It sounds optimistic, a few. In this case, for example, the example that the picture brings, few people know the truth about his difficulties. So this is a very small. Maybe for this person, this speaker, more people should know about his difficulties. So few people, it's not enough. More people should know. And the other one is the little. Okay, little is the opposite for much, and it's only for uncountable things. When we are talking about quantifiers, okay, because we can use little as adjective. And then it's the classic little. A little car, a little house, okay, because we are using little as an adjective in those cases. And here, little is a quantifier. So, we use for uncountable things. My grandmother drinks little wine, only occasionally, all right? So the same thing. Little is not enough, and a little sounds more optimistic, okay? So there's a difference when you, I guess I compared in our class, I compared to Portuguese when we say eu tenho pouco dinheiro, it sounds bad, it sounds like, oh, I would like to have more money. Eu tenho pouco dinheiro, não consigo comprar minhas coisas. But if you say eu tenho pouco de dinheiro, it sounds a little better. Ah, a gente pode ir nesse restaurante. Eu tenho pouco de dinheiro guardado. So this difference, pouco or pouco, and the meaning that it causes in the context is pretty much the same thing in English. A few, and a little, right? It's pretty much the same effect that it causes. And no, it's a quantifier as well, but basically it's gonna be no is going to be the negative in the sentence, okay? So you don't use don't blah 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 no, right? So you have to use just no for the entire context. So you have the material brings. It's a negative meaning in an affirmative sentences, okay? For example, there is no sugar for the cake. There is no sugar for the cake. The verb is affirmative. There is. But then no transforms everything into negative. So there is no sugar for the cake. Or you could say, there isn't any sugar for the cake. It's also possible, all right? So there isn't any sugar for the cake. There is no, there isn't any mean the same thing. Or the next one. She will have no friends unless she tries to speak to people. So she will have the verb is affirmative, but then no brings all the negative for the sentence. Okay, or we could also transform. She won't have any friends unless she tries to speak to people. Okay, so basically we have the option of where to use the negative part in English. Okay, but remember, we shouldn't use two negatives like there isn't no sugar. This is considered wrong in English. Okay, some people use, but it's very informal and it's wrong. Okay, so we have the quantifiers. These are the main ones. We also have that we discussed in class every. Okay, remember that when we use every day, every person, okay, we always use every plus a singular noun. Okay, so every day, not every days. Every person, not every people. Okay, or the combined words everybody. You will never see in English everybody's. Okay, or everything's in the plural form. No, everything, everybody, everyone. Okay, so it's always, this could be a tip to remember that every is always with singular things. And we also have the word all that we saw, I guess, in what period? All. In meaning, all and every are very close. Okay, but remember that when we use all, we should use all. We can use with countable or uncountable. Okay, and sometimes we need to use a little word. For example, I spent all of my money. Okay, all of my money. So remember the preposition all of because I have my. Okay, it's okay. Sometimes people in popular English say all my money. I spent all my money. It's alright. It can happen. Okay, but for the grammar you should use the preposition. But that's just a detail. In our test tonight, there's nothing. We don't have things like use one specific exercise. Use every, no, some, any, little, few. No, we don't have like this. The test is gonna happen more like based on the context. Okay, things. So they're gonna give you a sentence with an empty box and just write whatever fits the context. Okay, so you're gonna have to pay attention to the context, so you know what the best option is. Okay, to complete that blank. Okay, the test is less hard than you expect, I guess. But the quantifiers, just keep that in mind. Let me talk about the modals for deduction. I guess it was not so difficult. Basically, what you need to remember is which modal represents how much deduction you have about something. Okay, so in the class I showed you another material, and here is a very similar idea but different examples and stuff. So we use must when we are deducing something. Okay, so here we're talking about the modals only for deduction, because the modals, they have other jobs. Like must we use for obligation, rules, but here is like a strong guess. Okay, you are just guessing some information. So remember that must is very strong, 90-100% true. Like she must be in the garden, like I'm sure she's in the garden. Or they must know each other. They are talking, they are laughing, they are sitting at a coffee shop together, so they must know each other. The opposite for must is can't. Okay, so must, you are almost sure that something is true, and can't, you are almost sure that something is not true. For example, she can't be his mother. She's too young in the example here. So I'm sure she's not his mother, okay? It's not a fact. I don't know the fact, but I'm pretty sure that she's not the mother. So for example, the boy is the boy is 10 years old and the mother is 25 years old. It's possible, but improbable, all right? So these are the things that you are deducing from the situation that you have, all right? And so must, very strong, can't, very strong, but opposite directions. May, might, could, they are like 50-50, all right? So when you use may not, or might not, could, basically you don't have much information to speak your mind, to say your opinion. Okay, so you're just guessing. So he may or he might be dead. Oh, do you remember that actor? Where is that actor? I don't know. He may be dead. He may not be dead. I don't know. Okay, or he may or he might not remember who you are. So, oh, it's been a long time since you don't visit him. So he may not remember who you are. Okay, so there's a chance, but it's not very strong. Okay, so may, might, and could are like 50%. Must, very strong, and can't, very strong, but in opposite directions. Okay. And here we have just a little reminder. So we use can't, not mustn't. Okay, because for the affirmative we use must, but for the negative deduction we use can't. So it's not so logical like must, mustn't, can, can't. Okay, so we don't use like this when we are deducing something. So we use can't for strong negative opinions. He's just left, so he can't be too far. Okay, so he's just left like 2 minutes ago, so he can't be too far. It's not possible that he's too far. Okay, and if you use mustn't here, it's more like an order, so that's why it doesn't work as the opposite. So he must be very far, deduction. He mustn't be very far. This is like a rule, it's an order. Don't go far, stay around. Okay, so this is what it sounds like. And for possibilities, okay, we use may, might, and not can, because can we use for permission or ability. So if you use can for possibility, then it's probably not the best option to make. Right, and here we didn't see, but the material brings, so just comment. B, the modals with ing. It's nothing, it's no big deal here, like they are in Inisa, it's not Ibiza, it's Inisa. They are in Inisa, they must be having a great time, because they are now in Inisa, so they must be having now a great time, okay? But notice that because we are using the continuous idea, it's always, it's like, it's a must. You always must have the verb to be plus another verb with ing. These two words must be together to form a continuous, gerúndio, okay? Ando, endo, indo. If you don't have one of those, this is not the continuous, not the present continuous or the past continuous or the future continuous. So you must have both. In this case, we have be, having, okay, and must is like protecting the verb be. So they must be having. Notice that we use the exact same logic in Portuguese, in Brazil. Eles devem estar se divertindo. Or, you're always hungry. I think that you might not be eating enough protein. Você está sempre com fome? Eu acho que você não deve estar comendo. Estar, to be, comendo, eating. So, something like that. And new studies suggest that air pollution may be making people unhappy. Então, poluição pode estar causando, pode estar fazendo as pessoas infelizes. So we used exactly the same structure in Portuguese. So this is kind of instinctive to us. Okay, so the modals of deduction were another detail that we studied more specifically in Unit 4. Okay. I'm taking a look at the chat. No questions, no doubts at all. I don't see anything here. Okay. So we had the modals of deduction, and now the last but not least, the verbal tenses in English. So I chose this picture, okay. I had lots of options to show you, like presentations and lots of things to review the verbal tenses, but I decided to make it very simple. Basically here, in this picture, you have a complete English course. So a course that you study at schools like 5, 6 years, it's basically to learn that, okay? Of course, I'm kidding, there are more details, but I'm kidding, but not so much, because that's it. In English, we have 12 verbal tenses, basically. We have 12 verbal tenses, and they are formed by the tense, what we call the tense, because we are humans, our brains work in past, present, and future. This is how our brains work because our languages work like this, okay? At least in Portuguese and in English. I don't know about all the languages in the world. So because our language uses that, our brain works like that. So our brain works in the past, present, or future, and that's it, okay? If you want to watch, for example, there's a great movie that discusses about it. No, I'm not gonna say the movie because it could be a spoiler, right? So let's move on. So present, past, or future, these are the tenses that we call, o tempo do verbo. And we have what we call also in English the aspect. Okay, the aspect is simple, perfect, continuous, and the perfect continuous. So we have 3 tenses, past, present, and future, and we have 4 aspects: the simple, the perfect, the continuous, and the perfect continuous. And if you do the math, 3 times 4 equals 12, okay? So basically when we are using verbal tenses in English, we are just playing battleships, okay? We are playing the game like, oh, C3, right? Like Batalha Naval. So letter C, number 3. Boom, that you get the structure you need to use. So I'm going to increase the size here. So when we are working with the simple aspect, okay, I'm going to show you this because I will try to make you see that you don't have to memorize lots of structures and lots of rules, okay? Basically, you have to feel those structures, okay? You can come up with them. You can create the structures based on the message you're trying to express. So here we have a timeline, okay? So when we are dealing with the simple aspect, basically we are talking about the verb. So the verb will stay alone and the verb will do all the job. For example, when we are in the simple past, we have I studied English. So what is showing us that it's the past? It's the verb, studied. So studied is the form of study in the past. Okay, so we don't have time expressions like studied English yesterday, last night. Just the verb is enough. In the present, it's because the verb is in the present. So I study English. Okay, I study English. And the future, so the verbs, they have a form in the past, they have a form in the present, and fortunately, they don't have a form in the future. So we always depend on an auxiliary. So will. Will is the auxiliary that we are going to use for the future. Okay, so in Portuguese, we have verb form in the past, a verb form in the present, a verb form in the future, but in English, past and the present, and that's it. So the future needs an auxiliary. Okay, so I studied, I study, I will study. It's simple because it's just one verb. When we are using the perfect, actually I'm gonna go with the continuous now, the continuous. So remember that I was saying minutes ago that for the continuous in English, we must use be plus ing. So basically, the ing is the responsible for the name continuous in the grammar books. So you can see that past continuous, present continuous, future continuous. And then you can observe the sentences: studying, studying, studying. So basically, what the most important detail here is the verb to be, because the verb to be will control the tense. The verb to be will show the past, the present, or the future. So we use the name past continuous because we are using the idea of the verb to be in the past. So I was studying English. But we can change the was to the present. I am studying English. And we don't have verb forms in the future in English, so we use the auxiliary, will. I will be studying English. So if you observe the three sentences, the words I studying English are the same in the three cases. What changes is the verb to be. If you use the verb to be in the present, in ing, present, continuous. If you use the verb to be in the future, in ing, so future, ing, continuous. So it's the future continuous. So this is how we give names to structures of the grammar structures, basically. So the continuous is this. And of course, the continuous, the idea for the continuous is to show that the action was happening for some time, okay? The idea for the simple is to show the action. Studied, happened, finished. Study, I do it like every day, every week. Will study, it's a project, it's an action in the future, okay? The continuous, it's just a little longer, okay? I am studying, I was studying. So the idea is the same. I was studying in the past, not now. I am studying now. I will be studying in the future. I'll be studying tomorrow. I'll be studying tomorrow afternoon, maybe. But I'm trying to show that the action is kind of going on, okay? So, that's it. The simple, it's the verb by itself. The continuous is the verb to be and ing. The perfect, that's something that we are reviewing lately. We have been reviewing, I guess, the future perfect and the present perfect, and the next unit is the past perfect, for example. So they are a little bit more complicated to us Brazilians. But look, the perfect tense must use have, the auxiliary have, plus the third form of the verbs. Okay, so the third form, worked, done, gone, finished. Okay, the third form of that list of verbs. So we must have this, have in the third form, always. We must have both words. Now, the third form will be always the third form. In these examples, studied, studied, studied. So similar to the continuous, studying, 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 here the perfect, studied, studied, studied. So the third form. And what controls the tense, if it's past, present, or future, is the have. So if you use the past form of have, so you had studied. Okay, so then we give the name like it's the past now. Had studied. So that's the past perfect. If you use not had, but have, now have is the present form. So this is the present perfect. And if you use the future of have, will have, this is the future perfect. Okay? So, the simple we use for actions. Okay? So we don't care about the time. We are talking about the action. We use the continuous because we are trying to stretch the action. Oh, I am studying. I was studying. So we are stretching. When we talk about the perfect tenses, we talk about, for example, if you use the past perfect, it's an action that happened in the past. Okay, and it's over, it started and finished in the past. If you use the present perfect, the action happened in the past, but we have some situation in the present. Okay, so the only information we know when we use the present perfect is it happened before now. That's the only thing we can be sure. Okay, if you say I have studied English, it means I did this action before now, and that's it. And the future perfect, I will have studied English. It's because now I haven't studied English, but in a future time, this action will be complete. Okay, so I guess I commented that the present perfect is the most difficult. Yes, the most difficult for us Brazilians because we don't have an exact match in Portuguese. But the past one is okay. Eu tinha estudado inglês. We say this in Brazil. And the future perfect also. Eu terei estudado inglês. It sounds okay to us in Portuguese. But eu tenho estudado inglês sounds okay, but they don't match perfectly Portuguese and English. Okay, so if you say tenho estudado inglês and I have studied English, they are different things. It's not the same thing in comparing Portuguese and English. But basically this, the perfect have in the third form, and the form of have determines the past, present, or future. And the perfect continuous is just a combination of both, okay? So like the past perfect continuous, it's past because have is in the past, had. It's perfect because we have the third form, okay? In this case it's been. Sorry about my dogs. And the continuous is because we have the verb to be plus ing. So if you observe the three cases, been studying, been studying, been studying, we are just manipulating have. Had been studying, have been studying, will have been studying. Okay, so these are all the verbal tenses in English that there are. Okay, basically when you are speaking, what you must think is, okay, my message is for, it's about the past, the present, or the future. Okay, this is about the future, right? This is a static action, like just I'm talking about the action, or I'm talking about the time, the period of time. Also, if it's about the period of time, maybe I would like to use a continuous or just an action. Okay, I will travel. That's it. Just the action. No focus on the duration of time or anything. Okay, but basically that's it. So this is everything a person learns in an English course, an English course, a complete English course. It's basically that. Okay, but of course it takes time because we need to learn, understand, comprehend, reproduce. Okay, so the objective here is to reproduce, because if you get to the moment of using those structures normally, it's because it's very well fixed in your mind. Right. Well, and basically that's pretty much it. Okay, I will send in the group. I have also posted here in our things But I'll send in the group this picture, okay, that you may use if you wish, and the during the test, maybe for checking. This other page is pretty much the same thing, the 12 tenses, but then you have the past, the present, the future, the simple, continuous, perfect, and the perfect continuous, and you have a brief explanation and a little example. Okay, so here you have just more information about the tenses, but you may check just for consultation, for text, for the test, or for life, basically. Okay, that's it. So basically, this is the most important things that you should remember for your test tonight. I will show you now a preview of the test itself. So the test, you're going to access the test in the same item that you access the quiz. Okay, it's the evaluation. So you go to your material. Okay. So I haven't opened yet. Okay, so the last thing I opened here was the quiz 7. But let me show you, because as soon as I finish this transmission, I will open and I will okay you in our WhatsApp group, and then you can start. But the format of the test will be pretty much the same thing as the quiz that you already do, just a little longer. So usually the quiz, you have just the grammar tab, and here you have 4 tabs: listening, reading, grammar, and writing. The listening, you're gonna have here a player with an audio, and it's around 17 minutes long. And you have questions, so it's one audio for all the questions. Basically, you're gonna listen to the audios and answer the exercises. So you have five short conversations about these. You have 2 long conversations and 2 long talks. So just one person explaining about something. My advice: read the instructions very carefully, okay? Because they are gonna tell you what you must do, like choose yes or no, or sometimes no answer is okay. So you bachelor, associate, masters, or nothing. So depends. So read the instructions, and of course pay attention to the audio. The reading is the classic exercise of read the text, pick the correct answer. Okay, so this is a comprehension exercises. So you have these short texts, you have a longer one. Okay, and then you have to choose which is the best option to complete. So these ones are some things that you depend on your moment there, reading and listening. The only one that you could like prepare before is the grammar, and the grammar will be not so complicated. The first exercise, you must choose which of the parts in blue are possibly wrong. If nothing is wrong, you have the option correct. Okay, so here we have, I was wondering what type of compensation she had received after the company decided to downsize. So one of those parts might be wrong or not. If nothing is wrong, you pick correct. Okay, but if something is wrong, like, oh, had decided, then you click on had decided, this part is wrong. You don't need to explain why it's wrong. You don't need to correct. You just have to check that part is wrong. Okay, so this is the first part. The next one is like a dialogue, and you have to think of one word to complete the text. So notice that here you have no option. You have to write your answer. Okay, so you have to read the context and literally guess what word could complete here. Okay, so it could be a verb, it could be a preposition or something. This exercise is very common in the Cambridge exams, FCE, CAE, CPE, some proficiency tests. They use a lot this kind of exercise. Okay, the other one is similar, but now you have options. So you can see that the number 13 is, has been, has had. It's about verbs. Okay, so my advice, read the context first. Okay, don't stop at the gap and try to answer because you don't have enough information to make your decision. So my advice, read the paragraph, reflect about it, and then pick one. Okay, and another similar one here. In this other one, you have a word, and you must choose, you must use the correct form of that word to complete the sentence. For example, here is the verb differ, to differ, diferenciar, divergir. So people with the hobbies find it hard to be friends. Oh, so different hobbies. So here I need an adjective for hobbies. All right, what about here? The verb signify. So signify. So several events. So signified, signification, signifying with ing, significant, I don't know, okay, depends. So signify, consider, celebrate, common, marry, begin. So you must read the context and be aware of which could be the best option, the best form to complete. And the last section is the writing. Notice here that you must write around 200, 250 words. Okay, so the material suggests, not suggests, it's an order. You must write 2 or 3 paragraphs. Okay, you have here in this part, in this corner, you have a counter. So words or characters. So here you can say like, I am happy. So you can see here 3 words. So it's an easy way to keep track of the number of words. But of course, use your ideas and don't pay so much attention to the number of words, but if you wrote everything you want, okay. I'm sorry about my dogs again. So you have a preposition here, a situation, and you're gonna write whatever you want, okay. So I don't care what your opinion is. If you have a polemic opinion or a common opinion, okay, it doesn't matter. Since it's in English, it's okay, it's great. Okay, so and that's it. So this is the test. You have 4 tabs, okay, and here in your test you will have the word submit. So remember, you must complete all the tabs before clicking submit. Okay, so the submit works for the complete test, not for the separate parts. So be careful about that. All right, well, it's basically that. Let me see, I need to finish my quiz. Okay. Yes, I've just seen your message, Luciano, that you have finished your quiz. Okay, but because I'll close it soon. And just a final message, guys. You're there with your computers, with the whole internet at your service, and I'm here alone in my house, so I cannot control you. So I cannot tell you not to cheat on the test. Basically, you are adults, nobody's a child, I don't need to monitor anyone. So I'm gonna leave you with your conscience, okay? So with your consciousness, if you wanna have some peace of mind. But I think that you came to us, you are doing this course because you have a reason, whether it's traveling or you just want the certificate, okay, for university. Whatever reason it is, you're here for a reason. So I would suggest that you take it seriously and do the test for real. Like, test yourself. Although we are distant, I like every one of you. Okay, so you don't have to be the best student just because of me. No, be the best because of yourself. Okay, so whatever grade you get, if you get a 0 or if you get a 100, I like you all the same way. Okay, so you don't have to cheat just to please the teacher or to get a good grade. Test yourself, because if you just Google everything, like Google Translate your text, in the future someday you will need to take another English course because of a job, because of a trip, an exchange, or or something like this. So, okay, do what you will. Okay, but that's my final message basically. All right, guys. So I'm gonna call off this transmission, okay, and soon I will send you a message. Like I said before in the group, you have up to 10:30 p.m. to finish the test because this is our official class time that our class would finish if we were like in a classroom studying. All right. No last messages, no last questions. I'm just gonna drink my water so you have time to type. Well, so I wish you a great luck and a great test. Okay, so if possible, use earphones for the audio. Okay, so focus on that. If you want to check vocabulary on Google, that's okay. Nobody needs to remember all the words in the world. Okay, so you're not ambulant dictionaries. So you can check vocabulary, I don't mind, but try to do it for real. Okay, guys. Well, so if you have any questions, anything about the exercises, if you don't understand, if you don't know how to do anything, I will be checking my WhatsApp constantly, so just send a message, okay, in a group or to me, and then I can help you. Okay, so remember, access the test in the evaluation area of the website. Okay, guys, so good luck. See ya.